So how has it been the last 3 months? How has it been for you?
Well, it's been quite interesting. It's not a new thing, phenomenal-wise. The idea that we have COVID-19, I think we have that as H1N1 flu in 1918, which is often referred to as the Spanish flu of that year. So in that year, 1918, interestingly, there were convergence of events. It was the end of the First World War, which started in November 1914, and ended in November 1918. 1918, you remember also, is the year that America was looking for peace all over the world. The League of Nations was collapsing, and we had the flu, which is H1N1, that came visiting the world. And that was quite dangerous then. But the summary is that I think 60 million people died, 50 million people died in that year. The First World War had claimed about 40 million people, but the flu killed 50 million people, which was 1/5 of the world population as at that time. And you know, that's quite surprising, because the world was also locked down for 2 years. So the idea of locking down the world didn't just come from somebody. It had been in existence in 1918, where we had the flu from the Spanish as at that time. So really, what to do is to front-load the lessons of 1918, you know, forward to 2020, when the flu reoccurred, which is just about 102 years after. So obviously, what happened in that year? How was the H1N1 flu contained as at that time? Those are the basic things that we really have to do. And what was the exit strategy for H1N1 as at that time? There was exit strategy. So from there, you can have a basic knowledge of how to manage the COVID-19. That's just some level of trajectory survey of that flu. Coming to COVID-19, there are a lot of challenges that are not still clear. Well, this is a natural flu. Now, number one, what is the definition of COVID-19? Well, what does it mean? That's the first thing. It means family of viruses. So coronavirus is family of viruses converging together to become one virus. So family of viruses, what are the members of the family? Sneezing, cold, headache, fever, malaria, they're all members of that family. So they converge together to become coronavirus. Now, we try to find out how naturally possible could it be that this convergence will, I mean, how can they just converge together? That is in doubt, and that's why America is trying to investigate China as to who is behind this. And China is being accused of not coming up with sufficient information. At least they got the flu around January the 5th, but we didn't know about it until March. So why keeping it? You know, so could it be another strategy by which we have China going to lead the world without fighting a war? You know, so is it a shift, political shift, or what? So these are the points that we really have to look at very, very, very deeply, because the war strategy from First World War, Second World War, and the Cold War of 1990, which led to the submergence of USSR, the fact remains that in all of this, the game is about power shift. You know, during the First World War, Britain lost her hegemonic leadership, and the Europe lost their imperialism. So we had the emergence of some countries like Germany and some other ones. But after the Second World War in 1939 to 1945, you know, in that year, the Great Britain left the political screen. Then we had the Cold War between USSR and US, which ended in 1990. And you know that completely led to the submerge of USSR, so disappearance from the radar. So now we'll be looking at who is the hegemon of the world, who controls the world, who leads the world, and it has been the Western Bloc. So China in recent time has grown so widely to provide leadership for the world. But how will they achieve this? So one way is getting legitimacy from Africa support, or another way is let's take it, without fighting a war. Let's converge in laboratory all of these family of viruses and call it coronavirus. And then if that is enough to put some problem in the hand of Donald Trump, then that might begin to make the power play or power system to stagger. And that China may emerge without firing war missiles. So obviously, the strategy between 1200 to the present day have been that if there must be a political shift, then there must be a war. And of course, in the current time, China is trying to say there might be no need for war. We could easily sit coronavirus without firing a missile, because you do know that China cannot compete with America when it comes to missiles, missiles attack and some of these things. So obviously, it's not something that we can say this is when it will end. I think the first strategy of China is to test it in America and see if Donald Trump can survive it. Because Donald Trump is one of the very strong power block that could delay the power shift from the west to the east of China. So obviously, if people are dying in America, then how can Donald Trump say he wants to run an election in November? That's a lot of problem right in there. So nobody knows when this will end, but suffice to say that there are lots of serious impacts in the Western area, also the south of the world, or the Middle East, or extreme north. But I think the impact will be very tremendous in the West, and this must create some challenges for us. As coming to the challenges to your question, yes, we have political issues. You have economic issues. You have social. You have cultural. You also have a technology challenge. With the coronavirus. So all of this also creates some level of financial dangerously for the economy, political deconfiguration for political system, and then social distancing, as it is we see with the coronavirus. So it's some sort of this conceptualizing, reconceptualizing the entire system.
So how do you see our own position in all of this? When I say our own, I mean Nigeria. Where does
We're
Nigeria
coming
stand
down to Nigeria. If it's a political, if it's going to be a power play, Nigeria have to decide who are they supporting. Because right now, the US has called for investigation. 100 countries have supported that to investigate coronavirus. China has banned any sort of publication about the trajectory of coronavirus. So if there is a war, first of all, where are you going to support? Will you go America way, or are you going to go China? That's one. The next thing is to also see how does it affect us economically. That I think is the area where you seem to be more interested. Yes, of course, it will affect us to the extent that foreign goods cannot come in and local goods cannot go out. That affects the balance of trade. That really tremendously affects balance of trade. That affects everything, in terms of economic base. So you can imagine how much the airlines are losing. You can imagine how much the hospitality industry is losing, how much the media is losing. So obviously, it has effects on every sector of the Nigeria economy. But in terms of managing it in Nigeria, the challenge is on data. Well, how many people have coronavirus in Lagos? You can't get the data. How many people have, maybe you can get something from, what do you call it, National Disease Control or whatever. But they may tell you, okay, it's 5,000. But the point is that how many people have symptoms of coronavirus today? We don't have the data. Okay, if you know, where are they? We don't know. What's their telephone number so that we can reach out to them and help them? We don't know. So you don't have data. How can you manage disease? How can you do a disease control without data? That's a big mess, And honestly, it will be very difficult for anybody to solve that. Because once you don't have data, it will be difficult for you to manage coronavirus. You know, people say, okay, in Kogi, there's one case. So, okay, if there's one case, let's assume it's true. Now, how many people have the symptom of coronavirus in Kogi State? We don't know. So, we don't have data. And I think it's very important that Nigeria should continue to work on data collection. And the way to do this is to use local government institutions. So, for instance, allow private hospitals to be registered as coronavirus compliant, not to treat coronavirus, but at least people who have symptoms of coronavirus can phone those hospitals and then they can collect their data in case the state government is coming with something tremendous to assist them. So data collection is critical to management of coronavirus. Remember, you can't get very easily right now the Vaseline. To get a vaccine to solve the problem, you need to do experimental control. Now, if you're going to do experimental control, you need to get some group of animals, maybe about 100 each, in 2 groups, inflict the 2 groups with coronavirus. So you do experimental control by adopting your vaccine in one of the group of animals, maybe 100, and then you don't do treatment on the other animals. So you see how your drug is responding to the animal that you are treating with that vaccine. So assuming animals in both groups are dying, it means your drug is not working. Because one is receiving treatment, the other group is not receiving treatment. That is experimental control. And in doing this, you need to take data on that animal behavior. So when you apply your Vaseline, you need to start collecting data on the behavior in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, day 1, day 2, 1 week, weekly, bi-weekly, midweek report, monthly report, quarterly report, yearly report, and see whether those vaccines were actually, whether the animals are under treatment are actually responding to the vaccine. But if they are not responding to the vaccine, of course, obviously the vaccine is not working. So you need to do experimental control, and that will not take less than 1.5 years. So it is the result of that. You keep improving on the vaccine. Assuming in week 1, 20 animals die out of 100. But in group 2, where there is 20 treatment at all, 40 animals died. It means that where you are really adopting your vaccine is working. But why do we have 20 animals? Why did 20 animals die? So you need to actually find data again. So it is this, what the pharmacology industry are doing right now, is collecting this data to develop a vaccine. That may take 1.5 years before a preventive vaccine will eventually occur. But we are going to live with coronavirus for as long as the viruses comes up. So obviously it's not something that anybody can say, oh, it will disappear next week. And I'm surprised why we are knocking down everywhere, because coronavirus is going to be here for as long as human lives. So why are you locking down? Locking down is not going to solve the problem. Yes, give people instruction on how to move, what to do at this time, but not to lock down the economy, because it will not work.
What have you been doing in the last 3 months? I know that you've been out
Okay,
of
I left Cambridge to come and collect data here on my thesis, and then the coronavirus came, and then of course it locked me down in my village. So I decided to settle down in the village quite rightly, and then of course we started supervising the building of the university. I just came back this morning from the village, and I really had a nice time. Thanks to coronavirus.
Let's talk about Fortune University. Tell us about Fortune University.
The Fortune University is established to close the gap between unemployment and knowledge. So the employers are not employing people because they believe they cannot bring value to their companies. So university too is not responsive by the standard they produce of the university graduates. So if you have a graduate employee in your office there, and he cannot think on his own about what can generate revenue. So you want a hierarchy of instruction. And we think this is not too good. And the system is not adjusted. The university students are brilliant, but they are not good for the employment in the society. And so you see that first degree can't take them so long. Even the doctorate students in the Nigeria context, there are lots of issues. Issues that have to do with, methodology in research and what they are trying to investigate in their phenomena. It's not, if you do a PhD, we expect that your thesis is enough for you to eat. So your thesis is either turned to a book, or you are going to practice what you have discovered as new thing, new concept in study. Failure to do that might be a disaster. So Fortune is coming with an idea of making sure that teaching is practical. 60% of assessment is based on seminars and debate and participation, not on cramming the textbook and going to reproduce what to cram. You know, so those are the kind of things we're trying to do. I will try to collaborate with other universities, you know, that are going to join us in this regard.
Okay, why call it Fortune University? Why call it Fortune?
Fortune simply means destiny. Everybody who go to school to read is talking about destiny. Anybody who goes to school to read is not about destiny. So we say it's knowledge powered by destiny, or destiny powered by knowledge. So if you must realize your destiny, it need to be powered by knowledge. So to us, Fortune is the appropriate name. You know, if you see what is the meaning of fortune, it simply means destiny. And if I must realize my destiny, then what is the driver of my destiny? It's knowledge. It's not that God, when God created everybody, He created it to be successful. Rolls or limo or whatever, nice car. You know, but you don't have a fuel to drive. It's not that the car is not completely manufactured by the manufacturer, but the fact that it doesn't have a fuel to drive it is a big problem. So, overall speaking, it's very beautiful. Good, not for evil, to bring you to a
We can't hear you.
Yeah. Are you hearing me now? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay,
I can hear you now.
that's good. So, okay, so when God created man, He said expected end. But the way He can bring him to expected end is through knowledge. If man improves on his knowledge, and He said, my people perish for lack of knowledge. So obviously, knowledge is key to driving destiny. And if you cannot improve your knowledge, you will not be able to realize your destiny. Then you might leave other people's destiny, or you might recraft a destiny for yourself, because you don't have the fuel that will drive the appropriate destiny. So it's like you take a car and you are going to Abuja, a very nice car, and you put fuel in it. The car will reach there. But if you don't have petrol to put in it, maybe you mix diesel with kerosene and put, it will be going, but it will be jacking until you pack up, because that it doesn't have adequate knowledge. So it must be knowledge that is not contaminated that will be able to drive life agenda. So University of Fortune is out to come out with finest research, you know, solve society problems, you know, and then conduct investigation. So to serious issue that that define the society. So for instance, take the issue of mega project in Nigeria as an example. 11,886 mega projects are abandoned at federal level. Now, out of these 11,886, I'm investigating just 40 of them. It represents less than 0.0001. We need more PhD students to take on more projects and tell us why projects are abandoned. Because if you abandon Ajakuta, for instance, you've lost $6 billion. You intend to produce iron, and you put $6 billion in a factory, and you don't have a single iron produced. And you have been on site for 40 years. And you are 50-something years old. So when do you think you will ever get iron produced in your lifetime? So why does that fail? We need to have lessons from that. It's only from proper investigation into PhD level and well research projects that can help us to decide to bring that out. Now let's take, for instance, the second Niger bridge. $4.5 billion have been put to that. We haven't got any bridge. We only saw you know, piles up and no bridge. So if you add Ajakuta to Fort Mainland Bridge, the second Niger bridge, you have gotten about $10.5 billion of 27 billion external debt wasted. So is Nigeria really poor? Nigeria is not poor. Nigeria is the richest, one of the richest countries, because there are some countries in the world that has 2 abandoned projects representing 45% of national debt. But Nigeria is poorly managed. Nigeria hasn't unveiled knowledge as an instrument to drive the economy for survival. And that is a very big issue. And we really have to look at it. And that's why at the University of Cambridge, when I discovered that 30% of our abandoned projects is about 3 of our abandoned projects is 60% of our national debt, university were interested in this research. We need to do it together. We need to get to the root of this problem. Maybe we can learn something. And you know, it's not Nigeria alone. Look at Britain, for instance. There's a project that we're investigating and we're consulting for them. It's called the Crossrail Project. The Crossrail Project, the British government has spent £16 billion on it. And the rails are there, but the locomotive, everything is there, but there's no technology to drive it. So Britain is stuck. As I'm talking about last week, with £16 billion invested in one project, which is the Crossrail Project, rail project connecting Paddington, South London to Central London. Now the challenge here is just on technology. It is not that the rail are not there and the tracks are in there, or the locomotive cannot be purchased tomorrow, but what technology will do the linking? Who gets it? If you give it to Germany, and there is EU issue, you have challenges whereby you exit Brexit, and then of course Germany can play with your project and they frustrate it. So every country has its own dilemma in terms of mega projects, and these are things that I think Nigeria really need to sit down to look at how. A president told me, one former president told me, I won't mention his name. He said he called a contractor and awarded a contract of 500 billion naira for construction of a road project. He just called the contractor to his office and he said, I hereby award this road to you for 500 billion. And then the contractor said, thank you. The president didn't stop there. He said, I called the finance minister and said, please pay this contractor 100 billion naira immediately. And then I asked him the question, why did you do that, sir? He said, you see, if the people see geological samples on that road, they will know that we're not serious. We want to construct it. And he won legitimacy of his people. He's tired. And then I said, but remember, there was Toby on tape that the contractor told him that, Mr. President, thank you very much, but we need to bid for this project. And the president told him, collect the money and go and be buying the foreign exchange element of this project. Otherwise, the dollar may go up again. This is not how to do mega project. Hello? Are you there? Okay. Yes, another president told me that when the National Library was awarded for 200 billion naira, it was 13-story building. He just came and realized that they spent so much money and they will never stop. And the thing was on the 4th floor. He just ordered them to start roofing it like that. So the point here is that how do you, a building going to 13th floor is suddenly to be roofed at 5th floor? I mean, how do you do that? Now, the instruction of the president was carried out, but it was not implemented. The library is still there. And the contractor is charging for his equipment that he left on site 20 years back. You know, so and nothing is happening at the site. So we are not blaming anybody. We are just seeing this as practical ways by which you can actually demonstrate knowledge. So if I'm doing my PhD on that, I wouldn't be waiting for government to employ me with that. I mean, I have a lot of people don't know who JIMOH IBRAHIM is, and I thank God for that. So they see me as an ordinary student. They keep to point to me employment letter. As I was coming from Igbo Tako this morning, I met 2 University of Cambridge employment letter on my box. As I was able to access the phone, 2 email came, employment, 2. Now, what I'm trying to say there is that if you are investigating something important, something critical, there is no way your PhD will not get you a job. So I just copied that email and I sent it to the WhatsApp of my children. When I was telling them to do PhD and they said that is stupid. Now they can now see that is not stupid. And who will not employ me for the Crossrail project? And if you're going to employ for Crossrail project, you know, I won't take a full-time job. I would rather take a consultancy job at about 40,000, 50,000 pounds a week if I have to give you advice on how Crossrail will move forward. And if it must be a full-time job, I don't know what level, but as at now, I think I have more than 30 employment letters, you know, from different, in the US, in UK, in Germany, and in Europe. I'm not talking about Nigeria. And my thesis is on Nigeria. But people want to front load the impact of this knowledge into projects, abroad. A mega project is the citadel of development. So obviously, University of Fortune will gain tremendously from this type of research, and come up with something that can really help. I want Nigeria youth to devote their time to rethinking. We conceptualize our future. At a time when we enter into trouble, we have to deconceptualize it. We deconceptualize it to see where we went wrong. Then, because there's no perfect ground, then we reconceptualize it again, having realized that we are wrong somewhere. Then let's do a master's. Let's rethink a master's. Let it take a PhD. Let it take even the first degree itself. I'm currently running a BSc International Relations at University of London School of Economics, London School of Economics, University of London, and I'm in the final year. So what is strong in that? What is strong in doing your degrees again and then bring them forward, and then you can be more relevant in society? I got my IFE degree 30 years back. How do you think that will be relevant to the discussion of today? So let's not feel too big than ourselves. Let's conceptualize that we want to succeed. Let this conceptualize that we have a wrong road or wrong step, and we have to get a new thing to do. And then let's reconfigure, and then we'll get to where we are.